Today in algebra, you're taking notes on multi-step inequalities. Please be sure you're paying attention and filling in the blanks so that you know how to do this and can accomplish your homework. Remember I told you in class yesterday that all I'm expecting is for you to try this. And I think if you'll do that, you will understand this information. First of all, let's review some things that you need to remember about solving inequalities and equations. The first thing you need to remember is to isolate the variable. Remember, that means get the variable by itself. The next thing you need to remember is to use the golden rule of algebra. What you do to one side of the inequality, you also do to the other. The next thing, we learned this yesterday, is if you multiply or divide by a negative number, you flip the inequality sign. That always happens, so if you are not sure about that, go back and look at yesterday's notes. The next thing I want you to remember is when we undo something or use inverses, we go in a specific order. We add and subtract first, and then we multiply and divide. And finally, if you see a less than or a greater than symbol, that means you use an open circle to graph. And if you see a less than or equal to or a greater than or equal to, that means you use a closed circle to graph. We're just going to look at 3 quick examples today. If you need Miss Levi to, ask her to pause or rewind or show it to you again. Otherwise, be sure you're filling it in and figuring out what you're supposed to do. For example number 1, we have 160 plus 4f equals 500. Normally in class I would be asking you, what is happening to the f? The f is being multiplied by 4 and being added by 160. Now one thing, I do have a typo in my paper, I'll fix that in yours. This should be less than or equal to. So that's what's happening to f. The first thing I want to do is start with my add and subtract. 160 is a positive number, so I'm going to subtract it to get rid of it on both sides. Now you have 4f is less than or equal to, and then in your calculator you can do 500 minus 160, which is 340. You're just subtracting those numbers. Now if you look at f, what's happening to it is it's being multiplied by 4. The opposite of multiply is divide, so I'm going to divide both sides by 4. On this side they cancel. On that side now I only have f and is less than or equal to. 340 divide 4, if you plug that into your calculator, is 85. And that's your final answer. Let's graph that real quick. So I'm going to do 85. I'm going to just go by 5s, 90, 95. On the other side, 80, 75. You can go by whatever number you want. If you want to go by 1s, that's fine. Hopefully you can tell that this is going to have a closed circle on 85. And it's less than, so numbers less than 85 would be like 80 and 75 and 70, on and on. So we're going to shade in this direction, being sure we're shading the arrow, so I can definitely tell what you're trying to say is the answer. Okay, let's look at example 2. On example 2, our variable is t. It's being multiplied by 2, negative 2 really, and added by 7. Some of you, this is one of the things that kind of gives you trouble. When you see the 7 and then you see the minus sign, you're not really sure what to do. But remember that the 7 is positive, so the only way to get rid of it is to subtract. So we'll start by subtracting 7 from both sides. Then we've got negative 2t is less than or equal to. And then we've got 21 minus 7, which is 14. Now to get t by itself, it's being multiplied by a negative 2, so I'm going to divide by negative 2 on both sides. I've got t. 14 divide negative 2 is negative 7. Because I divided by a negative number, remember that means I need to flip my sign. So I flip that inequality, and that is my final answer. We want to graph that. We want to be sure that negative 7 is on there and some numbers around negative 7. That circle will be closed, and we'll shade to the right because it's numbers greater than or equal to negative 7. Let's look at one more example together. I'm going to fold my notes over. Here we go. We've got 10 is greater than 5 minus p all over 2. We haven't seen one like this before, but if you look at p, it's being subtracted from 5, and all of this stuff is being divided by 2. To get rid of that, what I'm going to do, the opposite of divide, and in this case I do divide first, is multiply. So I'm going to multiply both sides times 2. The reason I do this is both things are being divided by that, and I can't start subtracting until I get rid of it. Those cancel, and I've got 10 times 2 is 20, is greater than 5 minus p. My next step is to get rid of the 5 because it's being added to that negative p, so I'm going to subtract 5 from both sides. And I have 15 is greater than negative p. Let's go ahead and twist that around. So I'm going to write negative p is less than 15. I really didn't change anything there, guys. I just moved the variable to the other side so we could be more comfortable with that. And then I'm going to flip my negative, and remember when I flip my signs, I also have to flip the inequality. So I have p is greater than negative 15. Let's go ahead and graph that. It will be an open circle because there is no line underneath. And p is greater than negative 15, so I'm going to the right when I shade. And that's it. Your assignment for today is assignment number 11. It is page 191, and it's numbers 1 to 15. For today, I want you to work by yourself for the first 10 minutes after notes are over, and then if Miss Levi feels comfortable with you doing this because you have been behaving, she might let you work in partners to make sure you can check. Remember, you are to try every single problem at least one time before you say you don't know how to do something. Also, this will be due tomorrow on Friday. If you didn't turn in last night's homework, which is A10, please be sure that makes its way to the box. I'll be checking for that after school today. Good luck, and if you have questions, I'll answer them on Monday when I get back. Be good!